So just give me the rough flavour. What are we?
I mean, to be honest with you, like the way I broke it down, because I was like, well, what are we doing? Because it's probably a good idea to actually understand. But what we are doing is we're just like, there's this the tagline, it's just genetics, is just a wide brush stroke on everything that's ever happened in your life to get you to where you are. And so I think the ultimate thing is just going like, well, actually, no, like you can't just judge someone in one sentence, because so many people do that at the moment. They're like, they label people as this and that and the other, and once that's there, then they think that's all there is to know. And it's just basically the idea is to get people to look at people from kind of a 360-degree angle and stop judging each other as harshly.
Without going too podcasty, like, because podcasters, people I find they can't really, or they don't really want to be themselves. This is about, obviously we talk about the ins and outs, but it's taking down the mask a little bit and just having fun.
I love that. I mean, those are the podcasts that I love to listen to, and also love to host myself, is like when it's just fly on the wall.
Yeah.
When you're hearing, it might be things that you already know, but it's different context, or it's also like people's lived experience and how they understand a certain philosophy and implement it into their life, which then you can kind of like steal them or borrow at least.
That is cool.
Yeah, and I think as well, it's all good getting advice from podcasts, but a phrase I brought up to Dom the other week, mental masturbation. I think it's so easy to mentally masturbate, and you listen to Chris Williamson's podcast, amazing, full of advice. Yeah. I can't tell you if I've put any into play, because I'll listen to it and be like, this is going to change my life, and then I never do anything about it. So it's quite nice to run through bits of advice and things that have actually helped. And with you, I remember asking you, I was like, mate, I'm ill all the time. I'm getting sick all the time, or I feel like my training is suffering and I can't go full send. And you were like, well, how many red line sessions do you do a week? I was like, all of them.
They're all red line.
It was all red line. And there was a simple, okay, mate, really, you want to be doing one? And you were like, I think you said you do one, maybe two. And that was such simple advice. But genuinely, I haven't been...
What are red line sessions?
Metabolic. Like,
oh, right,
full send.
Yeah, and that's not claiming meta is always red line. It's because I have an
Rowbots
inability
can get quite
to go
red line on a Monday.
For sure. I think it's like managing that dose.
But I think that's our inability to go into them and go, right, don't go full send. Yeah. We'll all go, no, mine goes too big.
This podcast's not about you today. It's about Pele. So we're going to talk about... So take us back, Pele. How, what is a phrase people say to you that totally like... shits on all the work you've done that perhaps you hear quite often that you'd rather not hear?
Going deep straight away, good question. To be honest, there isn't one. There isn't a phrase that I hear that's kind of repetitive that I think is undermining
that's good
what I'm trying to achieve.
If
there was one in the past, probably just football. I think people have the kind of perception that having any athletic background means that you were naturally gifted, which definitely for me wasn't the case. I was I was like always the worst athlete on the team, but the hardest worker, which is why I got remotely close to being a pro footballer.
Okay, interesting. So
so you got close. Tell me about that. What age was that? How did that come about? Were you, as you say, you weren't naturally gifted, you had to work for it?
Yeah, so I started playing football from when I was like young. I mean, just like I remember, 3 or 4, I was hyper kid in the garden kicking football around. And then at a certain point, I think a family friend noticed, like, said to my parents, like, your kid's decent at football, as in he's clearly better than other kids his age. At that age, you can't tell much about an athlete, but you could see that I was keen for it. So that became my life. Like, ever since then, I just always was with a football, practicing, watching, it just became my lifestyle very quickly. Never got on with the schooling system. Like day to day, I was always getting in trouble, but football was my release, and it allowed me to just like, in a weird way, looking back now, it allowed me to like be creative with the world, but through sport. And create a way of communication, because I had bad ADHD, but through sport, which always helped me. And then I moved to Spain when I was 15. I was scouted to move over to Spain.
Oh, you're sick.
I think just for my 16th birthday, like 2 months prior, for a trial, got accepted, came home for like 4 or 5 months, and then moved over there for just under 4 years. So that was...
Amazing. What
that
part
was
of
my
Spain,
life. Moved to Barcelona.
Oh, sick.
Which was
Was
sick.
it for Barcelona?
No, so it was for a feeder club for basically pro teams in Spain.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
It was like a live-in academy essentially, with kids from all over the world, which was quite a big step. Like people always said to me, "Oh fuck, like moving up." Can I swear, by the way?
Yeah, mate,
you do that.
Back here now.
You can.
Moving away from home like 15, 16, but I never saw it as a big move. I was like, it's a natural progression. I hate school. I've been expelled, suspended. I don't get on with the school system.
You're a naughty one.
I wasn't naughty, as in I wasn't a bully.
You just weren't interested.
I just wasn't stimulated by school. There was a few subjects, anything sport related, maths I used to really like, Spanish, anything that was hands on like DT. Apart from that, I was like, I'm not built for this.
Not about that.
So yeah, I was the footballer. I was the athletic kid, and
Nice.
Spain for me was the natural progression. And I think, truth be told, if it wasn't football, I would have got in some sort of illegal activity. Because I needed that thrill. I needed a lot of stimulation to keep me driven, and that's what sport gave me.
Well, that's good that you can get into
So-
illegal stuff.
I did, but I mean, I got out early.
Oh,
Like,
fuck, you did.
no, it wasn't severe, but that was the route I was going down because that's what stimulated me. Was
All
like
right.
adrenaline.
I mean, you don't have to go into that, but what do you mean?
Just nothing violent, a lot of drugs,
Right.
and
Seems to be.
things around the area of the law.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe
Fair
we'll
enough.
chat about that off the podcast.
We'll chat about that
And then
a
you
bit
moved
later.
to London and it all started again.
Yeah, but I can say now, obviously, I mean, for the last 10 years, that's never been part of my life, and I made a
okay.
conscious effort to just make sure those people weren't part of my day to day anymore.
Yeah, which is important, I think. It's stepping out of the environment that puts you in that position.
100%, yeah, massively.
Do you think, I agree with the statement around going into that sort of new lifestyle abroad. It's clear from knowing you that that's, I guess, contributed to your personality. What I'm trying to say is everyone I've met who's been traveling or just got out of the bubble seems to look at life in a very different way. And that's what I see with you a lot is you've got a very different outlook. It's not so much of a feeling fixed to a certain path. You're very much like, I'm going to aim towards where I want to go and we'll see which way the ebb and flow is. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I was speaking to someone last week about it, and I think like sometimes, you know, you go through chapters in life but you don't understand in the moment what's going on, how your perspective might be shifting, how your personality is being built or is changing, but then you look kind of backwards years on and it's like, that makes sense now. And I've realized my level of dependence is almost solely based off that, because moving out of home at 15, looking back now, that's young.
It's
when I
young.
see 15-year-old kids now, I'm like, how was I that age but living without my parents or my family?
Yeah.
And also living alongside 30 boys who pick up traits that aren't, they're just like, you know, boisterous, like you're 30 lads playing sport.
Yeah.
There's going to be common themes that aren't necessarily beneficial for like long-term kind of growth outside of sport. So I think it's just given me a perspective of like anything's possible,
Nice.
because you see kids that were there from, this one kid turned up with his boots and he had duct tape around his boots from an African village in Congo.
Wow.
Like the depths of poverty. And I think now he's pro in Portugal. And then you have kids who are being paid, who are paying to be there from Russia, whose parents are millionaire, which is cool as well. But like, I think I saw a contrast very young, and I was living alongside those people and kind of starting to connect the dots between what's allowed someone to be successful, whether it's talent, hard work, and where those two things intersect. And that's, I think, something that I've always taken forward without realizing consciously, but it just being the way that I suppose, look at life without even realizing through that experience, or at least through part of it.
Oh wow.
That's interesting, yeah. Because
And then obviously like it got to a point where you couldn't play football anymore.
Yeah.
Which must have been horrendous for you.
I didn't know about this. What happened that made you didn't?
Yeah, so we were playing a game in Andorra, actually. I remember it was on like a really scattered field. Like even, I mean, it wasn't high level pro, but it was a very good level.
Yeah.
Even some of the teams then, especially in tournaments, like in the first couple of stages, their pitches were shambles.
Really?
Because you travel abroad and like the facilities aren't the same around Europe, especially when you're in the first stages of competitions or of cups rather. Put my feet down, blades, turn my knee, and I was like, my foot's still, my knee's definitely turned way too far. Looked down and my kneecap was all over the gaff, and that was my meniscus tear.
Fuck.
And I just thought, like, at that age, I was like, I just jog it off.
Yeah.
Sunday league style, you like run it off,
Yeah,
two
yeah.
steps, like, drop to the ground. Torn cartilage and some other kind of knee issues. Had the op.
Yeah.
And again, it was like 7 months out. I think I just not took it in my stride, but it was like, cool, I'm having an operation tomorrow.
Yeah.
This is the rehab. it is what it
It's
is.
just like, I'll be back.
Yeah, there's not much choice around it. And again, at that age, they don't really say like, do you want to have the op? It's necessary. It's like, you're here as an athlete, so you're getting the op.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
obviously
of
it's
course.
private insurance. Before you know it, you've had the op and you're in rehab daily, which is a high level rehab. And that became my life for 6 months.
Fuck.
Got back to football. Obviously, you got to then work your way back to the first team. Someone jumped in your spot, prove yourself again, and the exact same injury a year later to the day on my other knee. Different scenario on the pitch.
No.
Jesus.
And after that, that was like a big hit because I just made it back into the first team.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know how injuries are, like you lose all your muscle, etc. And at that point, the surgeon was like, look, I think I just turned 18, maybe, or just turned 19. And he was like, you can definitely rehab this and get back on the pitch, but probably a sign like you've had the same injury on both sides, which probably gives a predisposition of some sort of injury.
Right.
Or
Sorry, it was on your other.
knee.
Oh,
but the
fucking
exact
hell.
same injury to the day a year later,
Yeah.
February the 12th. And that for me was like, not written in the stars in a woo way, but that was like, okay, maybe this is not for me. And that's the first time I started to think, maybe my life's not going to be football. And I never for a day up until then thought I'd do anything but football. That was my only...
I can't even imagine that feeling of just going, maybe my life isn't that. Well, I can.
I was going to say.
I can doing the acting stuff, but I've never gone like, well, actually, I can. My question would be like, what else did you feel like you had there? Because I know if I didn't do acting, I'd be like, I have no fucking clue what else I've got.
To build on that question, I think we all do it when you're fully invested in something, acting, football. I don't know what mine was at the time, but your identity kind of becomes linked with it. So did you, on top of this question, did you struggle to disassociate from the fact that football wasn't going to be your thing?
Yeah, hugely. And it's funny, like obviously my name is Pele, right? And the first question when I was young,
Named
from
after
everyone.
Pele?
Well, no, that's the thing, no.
No.
People ask me like, well, you named Pele because you were good at football. And I'm like, think about the question. I can't even name Pele if I wasn't born yet.
Amazing.
But so the first thing, anyone I met, whether they're male, female, old, young, to play football. And also was like, yeah, I do. Which was like a nice answer. You speak about it. And then it was like, I came back from Spain every 2 or 3 months for my exams, A-levels, or for a weekend, or obviously in summer. First question, how's football? Who you signed to?
Yeah.
What are you getting paid? What's it like? That was what I was associated with, was the guy that lived abroad playing football. So truth be told, when I realised like, cool, that's me, and I booked my flight home, or my dad booked it for me, I had no idea. Massive identity crisis.
Wow.
Because I couldn't, like...
18, right?
Just turned 19.
19.
For 4 years, or even maybe just before my 19th birthday, I can't remember. For 4 years, that's all I did every single day in Spain. You get woken up, 6:15, knock on the door, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Breakfast, get changed, train, study, train again, nap, potentially train again. If not, you got free time. That was my life. 6, maybe 7 days a week plus 2
Was
games.
this being funded and paid and stuff? And
So it depends on kind of the level that you are when you're there. So you can pay to be there. So some kids' parents paid as like imagine like an Arsenal academy, but on the side of the actual academy, but you still interact with the kids, you eat with them, etc. You can pay to be there, or you can be full scholarship, or you can be paid. So it depends on where you are on the team, and many different.
So if you're first team, you're obviously being...
Yeah, if you're first team, you're fully funded.
Right.
But again, some kids from Africa were on scholarships, but they had no payment, so free food and accommodation until they got to a certain level. Because the setup of the academy was basically like they plug you into any professional team in and around Spain.
Right.
So they basically your agent.
Shit.
And they're paying you to be there to ensure you don't leave, but you're not getting paid a high salary until you get to a certain point. So it's like a springboard for professional football.
Yeah.
And they've got a great name in Spain. But so it was, so that was the end of my time in Spain. And I just came home and just smashed drugs for like a year and a half.
Fair.
Just fell back into old patterns. That's what I was into when I was younger. All my friends at that point.
And where are you in London? Did you grow up in London?
Yeah, grew up in North London.
Right, okay.
Came home and almost like I hadn't missed those 4 years, as in I'd come back, every other month or whatever, see my mates and that kind of stuff. But you miss a big part of the, I think, like development phase.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because you're not there for prolonged periods. So I came back and then I was just like probably a year to year and a half, just like absolutely battering drugs while making some cash, just doing random jobs.
Yeah, sure.
And in that period, I was like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do, what I'm good at. Like,
But I guess you need that. I mean, I know you don't need that year, but you probably do need that year to like just kind of work it all out.
Not all the class A's, but you need time.
Yeah, I
The
know.
variety.
No,
of
I'm
them.
not. Disclaimer, everyone. You don't need to have a year of that, but
No, I
it's benefit. It's like the person you are now is
Hugely.
is
I think that
informed by those moments where you either fight or flight, I guess.
I think you do need. That's hard to say this without sounding like a wanker, but I think those periods where you go through it and you question who you are and all of that makes you a much stronger, better person.
Hugely.
Coming out the other end. And anyone I know who's been through adversity is a lot stronger mentally. They're resilient, more resilient, and might not be the case with everyone, but for me, that's what I've seen in London. I know you've probably experienced it. I did have another question there.
I think after that particularly sombering
I never
story.
know what he's going with when he does
This
this.
particular sombering story we just heard, I think it's time for.
No, not
I
yet.
think it's definitely time for.
What time is it?
It is time for
Seasonal Sweets!
Wait, what?
So it's now time for the show. We have
We
a...
have a period on the show. You have no idea what's
Yeah.
going on, do
I'm glad you haven't watched it.
I was like, what's going on out there, boys?
Yeah. So we'll take it back, and then how the show work, we break it up with this, and then after is more just like hanging out as mates.
Oh, sick.
So Seasonal Sweets. Would you like to explain to Pele?
Do you leave us part on the podcast recorded?
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah. So every week on the podcast, we get festive sweets or seasonal sweets. Last time it's Halloween last month, so we got quite a few.
No,
Sometimes we even get sent them.
It was Christmas with Kit.
No, but I'm talking about last seasonal sweets. There's always seasonal sweets to be had, and they're, the benefit of Tesco supplying sweets like months in advance of the actual event is we can do it all the time.
It's mad these days, mate. You get to like October and it's Christmas. You get to like January and it's
I think
Easter.
you should be
Yeah,
locked up if you're putting Christmas decorations up
to
in
the
October.
point where I don't actually know when these actual times are anymore. But obviously, kind of where Christmas is. And
You should be locked up.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we've great minds, brothers. We've come.
We've both come with mince
Christmas mince pies.
So we got the rating scale is it goes from brother all the way up to
yes. So yeah, we've brought
Brother
in
Brother,
what's that? We've only had one brother sweet,
We've only had one brother.
one brother sweet, and it was
it was the tangy blood bites from Sainsbury's.
and the mallows.
The marshmallows. Whoa.
So, do you like mince pies?
So it's already a sweet.
Oh,
but
I mean,
Hesitation.
it depends on the mince pie.
well, we've got
this is-
two. One from
Surprise me.
Yeah.
You got to choose for me.
This is Lidl Deluxe.
Little. He's going to lose straight away. Mine's from Waitrose.
I think you are sorely mistaken.
That's unfair. Surely you got to leave out Waitrose and M&S as a fair deal, mate.
No, because Lidl is wins the taste test, or they at least
Really?
claim they do.
Well, let's fucking see.
So you can have one of Dom's. You can also have one of mine. But
Nice. You can have bits of them if you feel like it's too many cows.
I just hit rehab and biceps before this. So
yeah, mate.
fuel.
I've done. I've got IROX on the weekend. So
There you go.
Oh yeah, Stockholm.
yeah, we'll do some ASMR.
The guest gets it first. I'm quite excited to see what are you having? Why are you eating the other one first? You're just eating it for fun.
Ooh.
Is that good?
What one? Will,
You're eating the little one first. I've given Pele a Waitrose one. We're all meant to eat the same one first so we can rate it. You silly fuck. No, don't worry. Just pretend you didn't eat it and you can edit that. So I've been quite nasty today. I don't mean to.
he's been really not. He's tired.
I'm a bit tired, yeah.
How old are you two?
Who's older?
I'm 32.
You know,
How old are you?
31.
So what year difference?
Year and a half. He's 33.
I imagine you two must have been manic as kids.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pure fighting.
we fought a lot. How old are you?
Dom
Pele?
won most. You're 30, aren't you? Yeah.
30. Look, the big 3-0. I
Did you
remember when I
feel
was
any
30.
changes when you hit 30? Like, were you? Because I think a lot of people, when they get to the. Oh my God! Actually, we'll get back to that.
Hold on.
I got the smell of that immediately. ASMR.
I don't care about Lidl. I'll be honest. I don't like mince pies.
I knew it. I knew
It
it.
slaps. When you asked me, I was like,
I saw
that?
that was
I've never
guest
actually
manners.
had a mince pie.
I've never really.
I didn't know you liked them.
Do you want to hear something kind of moist? I was vegan for 8 years. Not that, that's not moist, but
It's quite moist.
the moist part was that I thought there was meat in them for all the time I
So
was
you
vegan.
died for years. For years.
So I was like, I don't eat mince pies.
thinking there could be meat in it.
No, I'm not vegan anymore. It's been like 4 years since.
Mate, I genuinely thought that till I was about 18.
So I didn't eat them because I was like, no, I don't eat meat. And one day someone was like, you know, there's no beef, and I was like, wait, what?
Why do they call it mince pies?
This is very nice.
Why
What are
is it
mince? What's inside them?
Cranberry and orange.
That's very good.
I'm curious. I've had a lot of mince pies in my time, and this is good, but I wouldn't say it's the best I've had. It's posh, I can tell.
I
You're
prefer mine.
You're picky.
It's baked 12.
What would you score that?
Oh yes, but I reckon to a like. That's a 6.8.
That's 6.8. I'm going to try it.
No, 6.7. I
gonna
can't
rate-
go too far.
We've actually both gone for crumble top mince pies. I hated mince pies because Don would eat them like a pig for years. And I
My
thought
favourite
they
ones
had
were
meat.
the frosted ones.
Mate, frosted mince pies, unbelievable.
Fucking joke. They're like, there's no point in bringing them into seasonal sweets because we'll just go, oh yes, 10.
Wait, so what's the brother 0 and what's 10?
Oh, yeah.
Where's that from?
Alan Partridge.
Salted caramel ones.
Favorite pastry, boys?
Oh, that's a
Belgian bun.
3, 2, 1, go.
chocolate croissant.
Belgian bun.
What's a Belgian bun?
Belgian bun.
Is it vegan?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you've never had one.
What is a vegan
I'm
bun?
sorry. This is the first time I've realised that I'm older than you.
I'll get a
I'm
donation
32.
from you in the post. I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah, 'cause you come across very mature.
If you go to Greg's, you can get a Belgian bun, and it's like a swirl with icing on top and a little glass cherry.
Oh, yeah, I've had
in
one of
the
them. They're Belgian buns.
middle. You can
They're
fuck
good.
those. They are.
Talking of age, you know what the Rowbots scene? They fucked me last couple of weeks ago.
What they do? The robots
We
what?
did a little workout, little birthday workout for me, and they put Pele's 40th on the screen. I got a good amount of messages being like, "What?
You look well
40?"
young.
yeah.
like genuinely taking a piss, or
As in, people were like, "You're 40?" question mark. Because it said on the screen Pele's 40th.
$5. That's a good
Fun,
joke. These, unbelievable.
You know what? I don't know about you two, but I never thought when I was young, when I joined Mill Hill, which is where I went to like secondary school at 13 or 12 even,
I swear
and you
I
look
know.
at like, you look at Top Boy or whatever, at 18, and you're like, fucking hell, you're old, man. Then you get to 18, you leave school. The idea of being 30, when I meet someone, they're like, I'm 30, I'm like, you're old.
yeah, you're
And now,
past.
but now I'm like, the idea of saying 40, I'm like,
You're like in the old person category in X Factor if you're 30, aren't you?
yeah. Same with High Rocks, right? 30,
Yeah,
39.
yeah. And do you know what? I think that sort of beautifully takes it where I want to take it with the conversation. Firstly, your rating.
Have you had one of these yet?
Yeah, they're amazing. You don't have to have it if you don't want.
You can have it. It's such a crumble.
I'm going to give it a 7.2. That's delicious. Better than the other ones. Salted caramel, mate.
That trying to influence how I feel about
It's an oh yes from Ollie.
Nah, it's a brother.
No, what?
That's a 4.3.
Fuck off.
There's no way this can be above a 5.
What's the brother criteria? Where does it go, brother? Where's it?
This feels like
Five,
this
four
feels
and
like
a
an
half, is
apple
it?
pie. I feel like the thing is, right, if you mix salted caramel with mincemeat,
I'm done with
you
it.
definitely get like an apple to flavour.
Mince meat, but we just established there's no mince in mince
Yeah,
pies.
But it's called mincemeat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we
you
thought
called
it
it
was-
mincemeat.
No
wonder.
That's why I thought it was meat, yeah.
So
To
when
be
I was
fair,
like, I
thought
don't
it
need
was
mince,
yeah.
they probably thought, it's okay, little boy. Sad little man. Yeah.
Imagine it's just like pork and we're all just like,
That's my first mince pie, and I'll give that.
Yeah, it was all right.
I'll give that like an 8.
It's good when you're training for high rocks.
that's
'cause you can
really
eat-
fucking good.
Oh,
It's giving it a full, yes,
I
yeah.
have no point of reference, but
Yeah, true.
Well done, man.
one thing before we carry on, you got to get like Donut Time or something to sponsor this.
Yeah, that's what we want to
Donut
get
time.
to. Maybe a few more episodes and then.
I have a
it?
bad story about donut time. So the girl who creates the donuts, like who bakes the donuts, and like creates the concepts, sets of her, and I was like, 2017. I don't think Donut Time are going to roll with us.
He shagged his way out of contracts.
As if that happened. Like, I remember she was like, "Yeah, I'm just baking for Donut Time now." I'm like, "Oh, that sounds fun." And now they're like massive.
I'm going to swing it back to the 30 thing because you're right. I think a lot of people get close to 30, and I was particularly like, I said I'd have a Porsche and a yacht by this age. I've not even got my own mortgage. Like, fuck. But then I got into my 30s and started to do what we're all doing, which is work on ourselves. And yeah, you kind of realise no one's got their shit together. And if they do, they're one of the very lucky people to have that. And the 30s, I think, is so far been the most fun by a long way.
I quite like my 30s.
I love
I
it.
do feel like there's a lot more like partying readily available, which is just a shocker.
Is it partying?
Partying.
Oh, readily available. It is, yeah.
Readily available, like ladders, like slides to zero, are like present themselves every day, and that's the hardest thing about it because everyone's kind of just like more in control of their lives that they can actually wreck their lives quicker.
I think the way we summed it up last time was when you're in your 20s, you can go out party, don't give a shit. But in your 30s, you start to feel guilt for the big sends. And that's what I started to realise. I was like, oh, I'm a bit of a loser on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. How's your experience been? I mean, you're only freshly 30.
With partying or with being 30?
Well, I guess both. Dealing with the getting to 30 and also how's your partying lifestyle?
When I was younger, I loved it. Loved the sesh in all ways. Like,
it's fun.
And I think people say love the sesh, and obviously, you know, straight away people think about drugs. But I've always just loved being around good people. When I was younger, I've always been into personal development.
Yeah.
Since come back from Spain and like getting over that phase and realizing that I was in control of my own life. But I think sometimes, you know, especially when you're young, like partying, being around people that you're close with can actually open up real conversations that you wouldn't necessarily have.
100%.
I think when you're slurring your words and drunk and like staggering around, maybe not. But when you're in a rave scene with good people, you get to really know someone. And I'm not saying you go out and smash pills if you need to build a relationship with someone. But when I was younger, some of my closest relationships, they weren't built off drugs. But that was part of it because we loved to go out, have a good time, party, good music. Not start fights, be boisterous. That's in my opinion, that's more alcohol. At least from my experience.
You think that alcohol creates the violence?
When I was young and I used to drink more alcohol, I was around people and I was just a cocky prick. Like when I was booze, I was like, I'm the man.
Was that why you were doing football before?
It was, I started taking drugs when I was young.
Really?
Like 13.
Fast.
Living in
young.
London. Yeah.
And that was 13, 14 maybe.
Do you think it's something to do with the fact you're in the environment of like London? And
I was going to say, all my London-based mates, a lot of them started drugs very, very early, as opposed to some of my mates outside London. None of us really.
I think it's because
started
everyone's
until-
living on top of each other in London. It's like a very condensed space, and so everyone's kind of part of everyone's business. Maybe.
I don't know, like...
Yeah, why do you think it is? Weird.
For me, it was having a couple of mates who were into that, who were a little... Not even older, I think they had older siblings. First time I stole it was a silk cut purple from my mum.
Really?
So what's this? Had a cigarette. And my parents were pretty relaxed. Like they were like, my mum was always like, I want to know where you are. But my brother, who's a year and a half older than me, kind of set a good precedent. Like he would always just say where he was, and he just wouldn't be a prick about it. Like, so they kind of had good trust. So my house was a place that me and my friends could chill. We could pre-drink, not from 13, but like it was a home where my parents looked after us, of course.
Right.
But there wasn't all this micromanaging, which allowed us to bend the rules behind their backs without them knowing from a pretty young age.
Cool.
And I think then when I look back now, I think it probably was partly just because I wasn't stimulated by school. So taking drugs, going out, causing havoc was just something that kept my brain stimulated.
Yeah.
And I'm happy about
and it
Mr.
formed
Young.
I suppose it formed like part of your personality, I guess, in some respects, which I think from watching our parents, like particularly growing up with the two, you know, Louis and Phoebe, like they literally just want them to be inspired by anything or like do anything that makes them, you know, have a purpose. And you know, even going out and partying or doing, you know, it's just excitement from parents there's something else other than
Social
you know,
media.
mind-numbing school or shit like that.
But also, like, I think that you can do it all. Like, you can be someone who's fit, who's healthy, who's got a great career. Some people partying means going out sober, raving sober. Some people it's booze, some it's drugs, some like having a spliff, some like drinking a beer. I'm like, you do you. You know, if it works for you and you're not going out and being violent, I'm not going to judge. And I've been through periods of my life when I've dabbled in many different things that have worked for me that time. Like I never had a bad relationship with drugs.
Yeah.
I never felt like I couldn't get off them. I never used to have come downs. I'd never be the guy who was like 3-4 times a week. But at a certain point in life, I was like, it doesn't really gel with who I am now. Not to say that I'm not still good friends with the people who are doing that, but I've got other things in my life now that really interest me and excite me. Whereas back then it was like, drugs was like, can't wait for Friday, go out, have a sick night, banging music. Whereas now it's like, it's Tuesday night, we're sitting here.
It's easy to get in that cycle of where you just look forward to the weekend. And I think when you kind of, my perception or experience of it is when you start to lose purpose or feel at least you're not leaning towards a purpose, I found that's when I would lean into, I can't wait for the weekend to get on it. And
Totally, man.
I think it's that consistency element of striving towards something. When you don't have it, you can see why all of that looks so appealing.
Yeah, of course, 100%. And like, I think all of our lives now are probably very different to how they were when we were younger. And I think now, if I was doing now what I used to do when I was younger, like I wouldn't be able to function.
Mate, I can't function after
it's like 3 days.
like
of just
2 drinks. I'm like, the next day I'm a useless sack of shit. And
Do you guys enjoy boozing?
not anymore.
Or do you booze because you feel like, when there are drinks out, it's kind of awkward not to have one, or what's the
Yeah,
confidence?
that'll be it.
Good question. Why would you say you do it?
I do it just to keep.
Because you don't know the taste of most alcohol, like me, right?
Yeah, I just kind of do it to just I don't know, because it's there.
Yeah.
That's it. I literally don't.
Why'd you
there's
ask?
like I would never ask. Go on.
Because like, I'm all in those kind of things. Like when I trial something out for lifestyle, I'm like, I'm all or nothing. Not in
Yes.
life, but in lifestyle. If I'm like going to give something a test. And I had a massive night out years ago. You wake up, you're like, I'm never drinking again.
Yeah.
But I woke up and I was like, I'm not drinking for a while, and just went 6 months sober. Like
Really?
I just felt trashed the next day. I think I was mad dehydrated. It's been a really stressful month at work. Sat on my sofa all day drinking Lucozade.
Yeah.
Remember I had a raspberry Lucozade. I unscrewed the cap, thrown it, and I was here watching TV, and I fell asleep, and I woke up to myself like pouring it here.
Oh no.
So went 6 months sober, and I really realised like it's a hack. You get an extra day or two of the week. Suddenly I went from having 4 or 5 days to 7, but also on Sunday I was like, I've got the whole day.
Yeah.
No alarm clock, get up at 7, 8 or 9, whatever. Got the whole day.
100%.
Feeling fresh. And then I was like, so I'm going into Monday feeling ahead of the curve, rather than Sundays like cool catching up, whether it's on a come down or hungover when I was much younger, to like, this feels real good. First couple of times I went out, it was a bit awkward. It's like, what do I do? Everyone's drunk. But then after that, you realise that you can dip at 11 or 12, still have a sick night, get home, and you're like, that was a sick night. Right after that time when everyone's battered, and you start to I started to realise like, same conversations, everyone's chatting this close to each other, there's no substance. And just like, it's like a revolving wheel of same conversations. Plus you're like, what, £100 down. Plus when I was younger, if I boozed, it meant drugs, when I was much younger.
Yeah.
So all of these things, I was like, I've been living like behind some sort of wall for all my life, thinking that you had to drink to have fun or take drugs. And so now I definitely drink now, like occasionally, but only on occasion that I want to drink. Whereas in the past, I was like, if we're going out,
Have to.
I've got to booze and I've got to get absolutely trashed to have a good time. Whereas now I'm like, I could be with you guys if you were drinking and not drink, or I could be like, I'm going to drink because I want to, but on my terms.
Yeah.
And that's, I think it's
Your
quite
choice.
It's quite liberating.
Such a liberator. I completely agree. All of that I agree with so much. I'm on day 125 or so.
Sober.
Yeah.
Sick.
And I did 100 days last year purely because, again, same thing. I had one too many big nights and was just like, fuck this. But yeah, that's the thing I noticed. You get so much time. On the weekend, I'm almost like, what do I do with my time? And your brain naturally, you're like, maybe that brunch should be fun. You're like, no, I'll just drink there. But I think that element of control is definitely, it takes time to build up.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, how did you fight? You say you just quit and easy.
Yeah, I don't know. I think is I was never someone who loved. I would never get home and be like, oh, I need a beer.
No, never.
That was never my thing.
Do you ever have that? Just out of interest. Do you ever have a thought? No, because I think there are. I think two
don't
different
really like
types of
beer.
people. Yeah,
It tastes
it's
shit.
disgusting.
Yeah, or people get home and they're like, I don't know, a glass of wine or like
I've never really
G&T.
fancied that.
That's never been my like fallback activity. Like when I'm stressed or tired, it's always been more work.
Yeah.
Or training in some capacity. Like when it was boxing or running, it was like you can go out for a silly amount of time and train. When it's gym, might be doing a couple of classes. But I didn't find it hard because I was like, I feel pretty wrecked from it, from drinking for so long. And within a couple of weeks, I was like, I really like this. Because a week is now 7 days long. And you're saving money. Started to hang around people that were on a similar vibe to me and being like, these people are actually pretty cool. Again, being naive to the fact previously that like you had to booze to interact with cool people or like to have a good time. And I think it just was a real good reminder that you don't know until you know.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid.
It's good that you've got that element of being able to make a choice at any point. It's like you say, it's quite. I imagine it's quite empowering being able to go like, I can dip back into that world if I ever need to, but I don't need to.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to make the choice whenever.
It's
Exactly.
like these. I think perception's a powerful thing, and I think we probably can all agree that maybe 5-6 years ago, you'd look at people who don't drink, and genuinely, I'd be like, huh, losers.
Yeah, literally.
And it's a weird.
I wouldn't think I'd say it. I'd be like, well, you're not drinking your waste, man.
Yeah, like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
really boring.
Yeah.
And now I look at that and I sort of realise a lot of that comes from a place of wanting that other person. They're sort of putting a mirror up, aren't they? I just lost my train of thought. There was a good point you just made.
Come back to it.
Yeah.
What were you
How
saying,
did
bro? Sorry, go on.
How did you find? So, like, obviously, when you finished when you came back and you're not doing football anymore, is that when you kind of came to like Rowbots and stuff? And
Yeah, where's the fitness
Jump in
journey
there.
start?
So there was a gap of. So I got back from Spain. Like I said, got into that way of life for a period. While I was doing, believe it or not, I was a barista. Whether it was a flat white, latte cappuccino, you were getting the same coffee, but never any complaints. No complaints until one day I got there, and my key was changed, and then.
Oh no!
But I had a variety of jobs, and
He's
then
18.
then I was working for Ocado.
yeah.
What's their delivery company called again? Food delivery.
I thought it was.
Ocado is for Waitrose, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was giving out leaflets for them in Victoria Station, London Bridge Station, those kind of places. With my brother, we were doing 16-hour shifts just to get some cash.
Fuck me.
And that's when we actually got quite close because we were like, we're in the trenches right now, but we're just chatting with each other. It's pretty cool. And I would stand, it was in rush hour, right? So 16-hour shift. So you'd have like 2-hour lunch break or whatever legally. So you could have that working days that were so long. You'd stand there in the morning, excuse me, and you'd see people getting for their train. And I was like, you lot look mad stressed.
Yeah.
I'd never been in the corporate world, as I'd never been in that environment at all. And then obviously throughout the day, you're just doing the quieter hours and then rush hour again. And I'm like, these people look mad stressed. 3-4 months in, I'm like, okay, so these jobs everyone's doing, I don't want that life. One, I don't want to wear a suit every single day. No chance. 2, I don't want to have a briefcase and have to run for the train and look mad stressed. End of story. So I can't be doing that. And that's when I thought, maybe this fitness thing could work for me. Like, I love training. I look decent. I have experience from football. It's kind of a USP. Had no idea how much PTs could make because I always had it as S&C through sport, but it was never something that I looked at as a job I would ever have. Did some research. I was like, oh, you can make some decent cash. By this point, I had a few clients that I was training purely for free, just like to kind of find my feet. I wasn't insured or anything or even qualified. Then I got qualified.
Oh, see.
Got qualified and then started PTing my mate Sam. If you're listening, Sam, big up. I used to charge him
Big up, Sam.
£40 for 3 sessions.
And that's well expensive.
What a steal,
Mate,
mate.
and
What a
I would get
steal.
on. I would get on my brother's mountain bike in Bounds Green, and I would cycle to Hammersmith, which is like a mission to Pure Gym, Hammersmith, and that's what I could afford at that time. But obviously, I wasn't. I was qualified, but I wasn't paying them to be a PT. So I'd have to like kind of jump in on the session with Sam and do a few wall sits to like show that I wasn't a PT. And then
We've all been there.
this massive geezer who was just like juiced up to the sky. It was like, you training this guy? I said, no, we're just training together. And after a few times, I got kicked out because you're a PT. That was the first entry to fitness for me.
Fuck you, Pure Gym.
Yeah. And then after a little bit of time of PTing, a couple of friends, I worked at a place in North London, which was like 30-minute sessions. I would do like 10 to 16 back to back.
Nice.
And just PT'd everyone, anyone and everyone. Age was irrelevant, gender.
Was it an outrageous? Were they undercutting you madly with?
Not even, man. It was like,
doing
at
all
that
right.
age, it was £25 for half an hour.
All right, that's
And
not
I
bad.
got paid £11. They paid 25, but 22 quid an hour for someone who hasn't come from
Yeah.
that's coin. Like, I was like, these are my hours.
When you first
6
start, yeah,
a.m.,
it's kind of like cool.
9 p.m,
Yeah.
any slot, any day of the week, you just
Yeah.
put it in my diary, simple as. And that built up. And then I started my own boot camp in a church hall, which was,
Nice.
remember the first week I was there and I was like, it started at 6 p.m. I was like, oh, it's 5 to 6, no one's here. Twiddling my thumbs. Wow, everyone's late. I've set everything up, buzzing for the fire. I put leaflets all over Muswell Hill, being like, everyone's going to come. No one came.
Oh,
And then I was like ringing on my mates, like, please come, please. Someone
Slap with
came.
Joe Wicks.
Yeah. And it built up. And then I was like, I quite like this Group X thing. Like, people are connecting through the workouts. People are then leaving the studio or leaving the church hall, rather, having a little chit chat. You hear people building connections. And then about a year later, Rowbots approached me to do just a trial class. They weren't open yet, obviously, or to come to one of my classes.
how did they find you? Just out of interest.
So I was really, really good mates with Daniela, who is Greg, CXO's young sister. So we're in the
nice.
same year.
Okay.
we've been tight mates. He's in Melbourne now, actually, tight mates since we were 13.
Amazing.
And he referenced, I remember he was like to me, yeah, we're opening this gym, you know, Gareth Bale's involved. And I was like, all right, mate.
Yeah, done.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever.
And then it slowly came to fruition. It became more and more real over a period of like probably about a year.
Wow.
That is cool.
And I'd never coached a class. I'd never ever been to a gym in Central London before. Ever.
Really?
No, not at all. Because I had no reason to, particularly a class. Like, I didn't know what Barry's Bootcamp was at all. And then as soon as they were like, cool, we like you, that's when I just became obsessive with Group X and really trying to understand everything I could. And
That's
coming
so
from
interesting.
That's really
You
interesting.
just got
story.
curious and just decided to make more money. by being
Yeah, I was
PT.
like, the thing that I realised with PT is like, I'm not a better coach. Are you qualified PT?
No.
He should
Obviously
be.
you are, Dom.
He should be.
I'm not a better coach than any coaches, as in like, I'm a better coach than a new coach, obviously, but like my point is there are many, many, many coaches in the world that are my level or on paper more qualified. Like football, I was like, I don't want to be the most talented, as in I'm not the most talented footballer, so hard work can bring that up a little bit. I don't want to spend all my time being the most meticulously detailed coach with regards anatomy and physiology. I want to know what I have to know, always be learning and progress. But I want to spend my time coaching the person.
Yeah.
That's what's always got me buzzing, because I've
Well, I
seen
guess
that's
it's, it's your background, and you know, like you say, you loved getting to know people at parties and things.
Yeah.
You're good at. You looked good. You've done football, and so it's that fitness element as well. You just put them together, and you know, you kind of get you. You know,
Yeah.
it's personality, it's charisma, it's all the things that you know, from someone who came to Rowbots. You know, I thought Rowbots was you.
I was
essentially, when we
going to
first
say,
got there, you know?
first impressions of you, and this is not just because you're on the podcast. I'm trying to think if there are any more to add to it, but you and Craig from Metabolic always stood out to me as two trainers who I was like, wow,
Yeah.
I love these guys' classes.
There's always someone at
Appreciate
a
that
fitness
Thank
place that
you.
everyone goes, that's
Yeah.
kind of where everyone else swirls around. So I feel like,
Yeah,
from my
that
point of
stood
view,
out
that
to
was
me.
you. So that's why I came to Rowbots, because you got into contact with me. So
I
Did you?
appreciate that, man.
yeah,
I remember when you were saying.
Oh, I did your class. Your class was the first one I did, I think.
Yeah, I remember, I think I was chatting to someone else, I was like, that Dom's a beast, mate. Because you boys came to, we had a capacity club
Yeah,
in
we
the
were
city.
getting it.
And we fucking smashed
And it was the
everyone.
assault bike. I think it was like 4 minutes max cows, and you guys got like 50 cows.
Yeah, we were fucking quick at that.
But that's the,
That's the
so that,
genetics.
I think that's what I've always realised, is that like, the ROI of coaching someone as a person, like, I can get you in sick shape.
Yeah.
Getting you in sick shape does fuck all for you, apart from gets you in sick shape.
Yeah.
And I used to think like I was obsessed with just looking great. Years ago, that was all I trained for, and that's how I trained some of my clients who had that aesthetic goal. And then again, you connect with dots and be like, okay, I'm getting to that goal and I'm empty. I'm getting 6 guys to the goal they think they want and they're empty. So there's a common theme here amongst hitting the aesthetic goal and feeling unfulfilled. And as you know from Rowbots, obviously it being psychologically kind of themed across the week, because working out ain't just about having a 6-pack or a thigh gap. Like that's a very, very, very small part of the picture. And the beautiful thing about fitness is that if you tick all the other boxes, that comes as a byproduct.
Yeah.
So well put, man.
But
I
if
couldn't
you
agree
flip
more.
things on its head and you just take aesthetic goal, everything else is subpar. And that's what a lot of people, coaches, members, clients get wrong.
I think it's really dangerous. Yeah, it's a really dangerous position as well to be in, to be thinking about the way you look the whole time,
I
because
don't
it
think.
undermines
Sorry, go on.
it undermines your integrity and
Yeah.
and makes you fixate on things that aren't important.
Totally
I
right.
find it, you know, as an actor, one of the biggest things, one of the ironies of being an actor, particularly as like you got Hollywood like churning out beautiful people the whole time, you kind of start to think, oh, maybe I need to look better, I need to be, you know, prettier to be making the big bucks in all the Netflix stuff, but then it just makes your work so terrible, makes you fixate on things that aren't real, and when you're fixating on things that aren't real, it all comes across very two-dimensional, and there's nothing. It's like there's no weight behind you at all. It's the stuff you can't see that's more important than the stuff you can see.
I think
100%,
that's
yeah.
where the journey of fitness is so. It has its huge powers, because I think you're right. If you look back at all of our pasts, like I was a skinny kid, you were skinny. Were you quite a skinny kid, or were you?
Mate, I was 25 kilos lighter than I am now.
There we go.
The picture you posted, we can. There it is.
Yeah. That one.
Of you like before and after. I'm loving it. I've got one that I was going to use for before and after.
This
and
one?
I'm like, this one.
But I think if you look back, when for me, I remember this guy called Rez Jahafanzar, I think, a really cool name.
Rez.
He was on the front of a Maxi Muscle catalogue, and his rig was, I was like, I want to look like that one.
He died of heart
He
attack
looked,
from steroids.
no, that was Z's. But no, this guy Rez, and Scottish guy, and I became obsessed. I was like, I need to have a six pack, and I actually Googled him the other day, and I was like, I reached that physique when I was about 22, and we all probably reached the dream physique we had in our head when we were like 22, 23. But that physique then moves because you've got other reference points, and you start to see the steroid users. So you're right. I don't think you ever truly got that fulfillment, and where it then tends to come from is externally. When you're on a night out and people are like, oh, your arms looking big, you'd be like, huh. Yeah, and that becomes that toxic cycle of that you then start to really just go after that external validation. But on the flip side, I think the discipline you get from having to get to any physique like that, you have to put in a lot of fucking work and a lot of diet and really stick at it, the consistency, right? So I think that is a huge thing I'm very grateful for in that journey. But that leads on to what you're doing now.
Look at this.
Look what we've got.
And here he is.
We did that.
Oh yeah, I'll do that. So you're doing, am I saying the wrong way around? Mindset meets movement, or movement meets mindset?
Mindset meets movement.
Has that come off the back of everything you've just said now?
Yeah, so I was sitting in my bedroom in my parents' house. I was living with my ex years ago. Moved back to my parents for like, quote unquote, a couple of months. And I was again at a stage where I was setting these big, audacious, sexy goals and doing fuck all. I was in that stage
Mental
of
masturbation. That's
exactly.
it.
That's when I was in that's when I first read like Atomic Habits, and I was super in the era of learning, development, goal setting, like YouTube. And again, I started to realize these themes of like, okay, I'm setting goals and I'm not hitting them, and I'm feeling like this. I'm setting goals, not feeling them, not hitting them, feeling like this. And it was that cycle of like, mental masturbation is a great term, I think. And I was setting big goals to try and, boost my ego and make myself feel motivated, falling short, behind closed doors, not really doing the work. And after that happening enough times, I was like, okay, hold up. There's a very common theme here that the goals I'm setting are not realistic. And also the mindset that I'm attacking them with isn't robust, isn't capable, isn't cohesive with my future, or conducive with my future, I should say. And that's when I thought, I love training. I love movement of different forms. Mindset is something that I want to work on.
Yeah.
I want to get better at. What better way to learn as I'm teaching? And that's when I put the name Mindset Meets Movement, which is like, meet is the community part, so putting people together, mindset obviously, and movement. And that's how it was born, and got a logo made, and just started really, there we go, show them the back, bruv, get the back out.
Yeah, I was going to sit that way round, but I thought,
straddle the sofa.
Orange.
There's the boy.
let's go. Is it on the shot?
No, get down.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh my God, that's good.
Little twerk.
That way, go that way.
my
go
God.
This way. Yeah, there you go. Mindset meets movement.
Mindset meets movement. Fucking hell.
The first person who sees that and pings me, I'll send you a hoodie.
Yeah, done. I'm going to send one because I've ruined this one.
Yes, marketing.
So yeah, that was how it was born, and then I just really started to, again, that gave me the confidence to now start to coach people on mindset. I was always doing it, but it wasn't structured. Now I was like, cool, we got our workouts, and we got lifestyle, mindset, and recovery, and that's when I started to really like coach people on that formally.
Yeah.
And I almost was like, okay, now I'm allowed to, because it's part of my brand, rather than just being like the PT that likes mindset. It was like, no, this guy is really into it and puts time into kind of learning about it himself.
Yeah.
Well, it's
And it forces you to dive in harder
me.
when you're you sort of stop talking. It forces you to dive in harder when you actually title yourself with it, because it means you
Massively.
you don't really have an excuse not to.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Totally.
Yeah. Oh, now I forgot my fucking...
Go on.
I forgot.
Give us a quote, Marcus Aurelius.
I've completely forgotten my child. Oh, yeah, so we had Kit Ezaruso on last week. He's a dating coach. Really cool guy. You'd love him.
Sick. Got me.
Very, very driven guy. But
I got to know. Yeah. Well, it didn't work for me, no.
Yeah, we did a deep dive on Ollie.
We were asking, we sort of said, listen, dating coach, it's not like you can get a qualification for it. Like mindset, there's no real qualification. But do you
Is
ever
there
have
not a qualification for mindset?
Oh yeah, that's a big assumption. I don't think
probably. I mean, for a quote unquote mindset coach, there's tons of qualifications.
right.
Yeah.
So
But
it's
they're all-
something that's very
None of them are accredited.
Yeah.
Obviously, psychology is very different.
I think the most
Mindset is-
important thing is that none of them are really attached to the fitness world in that respect. Like, there's not many people who are attaching movement and mindset
She's
in the way
bonkers,
that you're doing
'cause
it.
it's, I mean, I've been to one of I think your first one.
Yeah, the
And
first
we'll be going
Wednesday,
you got to come to the next one as well.
January 12th.
Don't
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, do that.
And yeah, I think it's such a great blend of stuff because we started with a workout, instantly tears down. I mean, bear in mind, as you said, it's a group of lads, and most of them are all fucking jacked. So we all secretly have an ego, but it was gone because we're working together in a workout. Boom, everyone's mates. So that's that bit dealt with. Then we're all doing a breathing session. It's again kind of environment where before I might have personally been like, oh, that's a bit moist. What the fuck?
I think when everyone's working hard, ego dissolves. Like
Brilliantly
when
put.
everyone's
Brilliantly
together working hard, the ego in the room kind of goes away. You know, no one's. You
Yeah.
don't go to at High Rocks. You know, you're running around. Oh God, High Rocks.
It's like ski hug.
And so we decided Ollie's got High Rocks Tourette's.
Yeah.
They'll just say it. It doesn't matter. You'll be like
Mate.
talking about like, what are you having for breakfast? And they'll be like, High Rocks, have you heard about it?
It's the ultimate woman repellent. It's explaining what high
It's
rocks
like
is.
it's like talking about Bitcoin to women. It's like High
So it's
Rocks.
1,000
They're like,
meters, but then you do a ski hug, and then it's another 1,000 meters. It's like they've gone here. Yeah.
And then there's the
Unless
sled
they
push, that's
like-
the hardest one. And then
What's Hypox?
No, it's Hydrox. Hydrox. is like-
Hydrox?
What's
I heard
Hydrox?
someone the other day say, it sound mean saying it, but
No, do
calling
it.
it Hydrox. And I was like, mate, someone's got to tell you.
Everyone was telling how
I mean,
many
there are so many
Hydrox.
likes. Someone's got to say to you it's not Hydrox.
There's no D in there. There's no D in there. Fuck me.
Oh, that's another person who does
good.
mental health in fitness. What's he called? Mr. PMA.
Faisal.
Faisal.
He was kind of like the
Faisal.
original, wasn't he? On
I
that?
love Faisal. He was
well,
the
I suppose like he was like one of the original people who.
first person that I followed in the industry, and I was like, that is Group X, like high energy.
He's great. I think
He's
he's
just a sick
fantastic.
guy.
Yeah.
He
And
is
also,
sick.
like, when I first followed him, I didn't really know social media, and I was like, is someone like this the same in person? And I met a lot of guys and a lot of girls who weren't the same. And he was the first guy that I met that was like, you were the same off screen.
Yeah.
Which I think is so fucking rare.
He's just got time for everyone. I've never met.
Yeah.
You rarely meet people in London who have time for just everyone.
Good human.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to say it because it's on a podcast. The
Fazel's
first thing
sick.
I heard about him was someone saying, "Oh, I've heard this," and I remember sort of because I'd experienced him at High Rocks, and I was like, "This guy's, I love his energy," and I reminded myself never ever listen to someone else's sort of. I've heard this about someone because it's often bullshit, particularly in London. Met him every time I see him. He's so nice. He asks about you, High Rocks. He shouts. He's like, "Where? Who are you here with? Hey, let's shout him out." And I think that's people.
I did
often-
not want to shout out High Rocks the other day.
Oh, yeah, Tom was not doing
we had
well.
23 minutes of penalty. Like
I pre-prepared him. He was like, "Where are they?" "Oh, right, we got." He went, "Ollie and Dom's mate." No, Dom and Ollie. Dom and Dom's mate. And I was like, "I fucked
Chanel,
that up."
Bless him.
But,
Chanel was great fun.
Yeah, he's great, and you do remind me. You've got very similar traits, I'd say.
Faisal.
Yeah.
I like Faisal a lot. But I think also, like, firstly, my opinion on that is everyone says, I've heard this about this person, whether it's in the industry or totally separate. I'm always like, I'm old enough to make my own choice. But
Yes.
secondly,
Yeah.
we're all human. I've made tons of mistakes. And like, if someone thinks that they're going to quote a mistake I've made years ago and use that to your first point before we recorded, bro,
Absolutely.
like, stroke over my name, more for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, if you're the person going around saying I'm perfect, you got a lot of fucking demons in the closet. So
Yeah.
I love when I hear someone say that because it shows that person isn't someone I want to be around. Because
Yes.
if you're going to hold someone to something they did years ago, whether it was big or small, whatever they might or might not have done, I don't want to be around you.
Yeah.
Because you'll brush the same stroke over me when I make a mistake. So I'm like, nah, not for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
brilliantly put. And I think the bigger and more people talk about you in a positive light, the more other people want to tear you down.
I think there's
100%.
there's that quote about, someone said to me once that intelligence is the ability to have your opinion changed at any moment.
Love that.
And
Oh,
that made me go like, oh yeah,
That's a little goosebump moment. That is.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It is,
100%.
and it really is. It's like if someone holds you to that, you know, that one thing you did 5 years ago, and goes, yeah, like certain comments, like there's a quote that like, once a cheat, always a cheat. Girls use it all the time, and you're like, shut up, like stop making someone's whole life be about this one moment that they did. And
yeah, I think this is the thing with cancel culture, isn't it?
Trying to think, there's so many examples of this where someone just tarnishes a brush over someone.
Well, I think it's applying a label. People
Can we think of other quotes?
No, but people are so keen on labels this day and age.
I'm gonna think of some
Labeling
now.
dyslexia, ADHD, for example, is fucking thrown everywhere, whether you have it or not. And it's the same for a lot of labels, whether it's cheat or whatever. Maybe they've done it once, but that label sticks. And I think sticking a label to someone for years and years and years, even when they've done, like, for example, cancel culture, how it works these days, from my perspective, is someone fucked up 10 years ago, let's punish them. And yes, if they've fucking been done really, really naughty,
yeah, of
do.
course.
But if it's really not that big of a deal, but it's going to fuck their career up, but you still want to do it. That was 10 years ago. The whole point of cancel culture is to make people take accountability and essentially change. So you are telling me in 10 years, this person who made a comment on Twitter has not changed. And that's where I think that it's quite a scary world, that you can have stuff taken away from you for something you did in a learning phase.
Totally, man.
Even if you're someone who preaches, as we like to all think of ourselves as good people, and I think that's at the forefront, is making sure people feel happy around us, with that we come across as the people we are. So I think there's always, for me, that worry of putting yourself out there. It's tough with that in mind, because people are ready to go for you. If you're doing well, fuck you. And that's what's I find particularly difficult.
When you say putting yourself out there, what do you mean? Do you mean telling your story? Do you mean being bold with opinions?
I think for me, it's definitely your old being bold, but speaking my truth, speaking my opinions. I find people are so keen for diversity of everything apart from diversity of thoughts. If you have the balls to speak up on how you feel about something and it's not agreed with by the masses, you will just be squashed down rather than let's discuss. There's no sort of open dialogue for discussion, which is why I think it's as you said, it's really important to be around and try and gravitate towards people who are not like that, because you realise that majority in your head is normally not a majority. It's just the loudest speaking people online.
I think like something I heard a long time ago is like, you normalise your norm. Like if you're around 10 friends, and all of them do certain things for good or bad, and they're the only people that you see. If you're on an island with 10 people and they all have a certain trait, in a year, that is gospel to you. It's totally normal, for good or bad. And I think realising that means that, like, people say, like, people I think sometimes victimise themselves, forgetting that the people that you're around have such unconscious influence on you. If you don't make a choice to not be around them and seek people who are conducive with your future,
boom,
you are spending so much time allowing your brain to be not indoctrinated through osmosis, but like you're getting plugged with information, habits, traits, words, phrases, and ways of thought.
You do soak them up.
That you don't want to be around. Yeah, so I think you need to make a conscious choice to be like, when I'm around good people, when one is around good people, I should say, you become a better person. And not better in terms of like looking down your nose, but you become more disciplined, more committed, more authentic.
It's the
and you
energy
can speak your
givers,
truth.
isn't it? It's the people, when you walk away from conversations, I've said this with you, every time we meet up, I walk away and I'm like, fuck yeah, I enjoyed that so much. I feel motivated. And then there are other people who just moan and bitch, and whether they're a good friend or not, you either have to call that out or take a step back, because I certainly realise it, one will inhabit those, pick up those habits.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's really important to protect your circle.
Yeah,
and like protect
and it's okay to do that, isn't it?
I think more than okay. I think it's
imperative.
I think you've got to. I think we need to champion ourselves enough to know, like, I'm worth a good environment. Like, I want to be around good people. I'm allowed to be. Like, hear no 100 times. You'll hear yes once. Cool, that's a door you need to open. Rather than being like, someone might think, I can't yet speak to that person, go to this thing. use this label of myself of being a certain type of person.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. Like, you fucking create your own future. No one's doing it for you.
So that whole like the word can't shouldn't really exist.
So what that says who?
You can. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, what's in your bag right now? What do you carry around London? What's like?
What's in my bag? My tripod that looks a bit suspect.
Excellent.
It's an extendable one.
Everyone else in these days.
What's in my batch? Standard stuff. Trained twice today, so some sweaty gear.
Sweaty gear, yeah. Classic.
Kept my top on for Rowbots workout, which is very
That's
rare.
impressive. There's a rare.
Shocking. And I got back and I was like, oh no, fuck. I had another cap as well, which is covered in sweat.
I feel quite powerful doing it though. Sometimes keeping my top on for a workout and being like,
You've kept
you know,
Pele's top on. For
it's like what's it called? Sleeper.
We maintain the beast.
Yeah. Sleeper. What's it called? Sleeper build.
I know, yeah.
Man's got a sleeper build.
But nothing too rogue.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to say on your comment before
Which one?
was about labels.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it can be powerful to label yourself as something before you get there.
Yeah.
When it's a positive
Absolutely.
trait that you know you want to build into. And it's like, say for example, someone's like, I'm going to run 3 times a week. In a month, are they a runner? Anyone can say yes or anyone can say no. What is a runner, right? But like saying I'm a runner or I'm this thing that I'm not quite yet, but I know I'm stepping into, I think kind of like reinforces the mind to almost live it into existence. And I think
That's literally my career. That's what I do.
which I think is powerful.
I get given a character name, and I then, like from there, I'll be like, I'll write a couple of words of what I am, and then like for better or worse, you just end up becoming that on set as you go, and it really doesn't take long actually if you commit to it quite hard.
It's visualization, man. The brain believes things. If you tell yourself enough time something's happening, the brain starts to act like it's happening. Maybe not believe it, but act like it's happening.
Doesn't that
It's
show
like-
the power of labels in itself? We've
100.
shown 2 examples of how it can break you down and how it can.
Yeah,
make
that's why
you
it's
feel-
important to not talk to yourself like you're a piece of shit, or
Yeah,
and try and you're like you are the biggest warrior in your own life, and you have to do. It's important not to. These things you say to yourself or the titles you give yourself all carry weight, like they all blend together, and eventually that's what you'll become. So you just
we don't, in the fitness
be
scene.
careful with how you.
Yeah,
Label yourself.
in the fitness scene, I think I'm trying to I try and always use my own experiences as the fuel for these. But if I look at mates who have really become athletic beasts, they've succeeded in their athleticism, and then other mates who just can sort of stay stagnant. I think that label thing factors in so beautifully. Is you're right, those who stay stagnant, they never label themselves as being incapable. It's always, well, I was never a runner. I was never. You're someone who goes to the gym, and I think that holds you back so much because we have this delusional belief that we're going to be fucking great at like high rocks. I started that and I was like, I'm going to be fucking elite at this. Now I'm not elite, but I'm fucking good now because that label, sort of as you said earlier, you have put it out there now. So you have to chase after it. It's your duty to sort of go after it. And I think a lot of people, friends of mine, for example, who they really struggle with the fitness side of things. I think that could be the key thing, is that they've labelled themselves not capable. And yeah.
It's almost like you can live it into existence, and you can also live it out of existence.
Yeah. Well,
It's like the classic, and I say it all the time. I say it without thinking. I'm terrible at directions because I've always been. But I know for a fact I'm only still bad at directions because I say to myself the whole time, you're bad at directions, and I use a map and I always say I'm going to get lost in my own head. Even coming here from Canary Wharf Station, I was like 7-minute walk, I'm back at the same place. And I don't know, that's something for me. Yeah, exactly. EJAT that I need to work on.
yes.
But I think all of these things, like anything is trainable. Anything can become, you can become highly skilled at anything if it's the one thing or one of 2 things you want to really pursue. But like without the work, of course you're not going to get anywhere. Like wake up, smell the coffee. Like the ball's in your court, simple as. But when you commit to something, you say...
But that's empowering. That's always empowering.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
always think, some people take that kind of advice quite negatively, and they go like, oh, that's, it's really annoying to say I'm accountable and I should be doing this and that and the other. But you are to blame for yourself.
But you know why
times.
people don't like hearing it? Because the onus is on you.
It's true, yeah.
It's like, cool, well, here's the thing, here's the tools. Google, ChatGPT, YouTube, it's all free.
Yeah.
You can learn.
It's easier than
pretty
ever
much-
to know how to do something.
But you've got to ascertain, what do I want to achieve? 'Cause without that,
Moving on from that though, what is your goal? What's your dream? What is your end game? Do you have one, or are you just seeing how it goes? What's the
question.
definitely no end game. I've learned to. For me, it's excitement of the unknown. Like, it's so easy, and especially for me, football. After that, it wasn't fear of the unknown, but it was like I don't know what's happening tomorrow, let alone next week. Whereas now, I still don't. I've got a great idea based off what I'm trying to achieve, but really and truly, I don't know what's happening tomorrow, let alone next week, and that excites me. And I think I said to someone on a call this week, like, if you can be persistent with your purpose and be fucking relentless, doors will open that right now are not even part of your psyche. You can't imagine it. Not because it's so big, but because it literally is not in your brain. I can't imagine something I've never seen or heard before.
So your dreams are kind of unfolding as you pursue your purpose or your passion.
Yeah, mate. Take every opportunity.
Which is a lovely way to live.
I really like that outlook of I don't know what's coming, but the direction I'm going is.
And again, be around good people.
It's a great way of summing it up.
Know that you're trying your best. That's for me. If I'm around good people and I know every night head hits the pillow, I'm like, cool, I did what I could today. I'm going to be sweet.
There's a really amazing book actually that we got given for Christmas called The Second Mountain.
Oh yeah,
and it's really good.
That's the sorry to interrupt. That's the black cover with the white mountain in the front.
No, that's The Mountain Is You.
Oh, I haven't read
that's
that.
Also that is amazing.
Got you.
The Second Mountain is a great book because it describes literally that. It's your first mountain is essentially the peak of that mountain is all the goals you saw for yourself when you're like a kid, like or like in your teens, like you hit those goals, then you go down into that kind of place, and then you build the second mountain out of all your values and qualities that eventually you stay at. So that might be worth reading, particularly because it completely validates everything you've just said.
Yeah, I'll check it out, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Seems like The Mountain being a key book title, because The Mountain Is You is fucking amazing. It's
I actually got it at home. I need to read it.
How much you self-sabotage and
it's on the list.
The different things that are actually self-sabotage, which a lot of them, one of them was the, I think a lot of British people do, which is it's where this podcast is based on. It's to discredit someone by going, yeah, but they had this. And what that does is that reinforces your own thinking in that way. So when you start to achieve things, you go, yeah, well, I've had I got quite lucky here. And you don't end up giving yourself gratitude for the achievements you have because you've spent so long taking it away from others. And it's a really powerful way to reframe it.
Yeah, I can really relate to that, man. It's something that Rhea always says to me is like, and my family as well, like, you need to give yourself a pat on the back sometimes.
Fuck yeah, bro.
And it's not out of self-sabotage, but I'm always like, and it's not me thinking I could have done more, but I'm always like, cool, whatever happens, sweet. Next, but also like, there's more to give. I can have more impact.
Yeah, of course.
And it used to be financial. Now it's not even financial. Not that I'm at a place where I don't need, of course, I'm still looking to, build in those areas, but I'm just so excited by the future. And I know that there's so much untapped potential in all areas of my life. I'm like, that was sick. Whether it goes well or better than planned or not as good as planned, sweet, there's more. And someone needs to step back and be like,
well done.
Well done, or just like, that was pretty cool.
Yes.
Give yourself time to celebrate before being like, what's next?
We've touched on this before actually in this podcast. It's gratitude, Gratitude's a really good tool to I suppose to go to the next thing. If you don't experience the gratitude in that, then it's unlikely that it's all going to be, you need to release that.
Totally.
Well, if you go through this path of success and personal growth, if there's never a point where you stop and just go, fuck, that's what I've achieved is really cool.
Yeah.
You never get to really soak in and enjoy it. And I think that part is actually pivotal to being even more successful in the next stage. Because if you go through the whole phase, what now?
But if you want to sign up to Pele's personal training,
well, that's how you do it.
Platform.
Yeah.
Link.
I've actually got no space anymore for clients online.
Well, there we go.
When one opens
so you
up.
can't.
I know I'm going to be editing this, so I'll have to edit that back in there.
You can't be Pele's
what's
client.
one piece of advice to see yourself that each of you've got that's genuinely transformed the path of your life?
That is a really good question. Funny enough, I had a Zoom today with one of my mentors. If you're watching, Joe, big up. And we spoke for almost an hour about this. And I'll give you two for the price of one.
Double whammy.
2 for Tuesdays. The first
Lovely.
one is, and it sounds simple, but for me this year's been big. Good or bad, people will judge you. Fact, you have no power over that. take that as you will. Secondly, you write your own story. And for me, those two things coincide beautifully because people will judge you behind closed doors, to your face, for good, for bad. You can't affect that. But the ones that you can really impact, those are the ones that matter. And the most liberating perspective shift for me over the previous year has been like, I'm writing my own story. And that's given me the permission internally to fail, to try things out without confidence they're going to work, and to try and create what doesn't currently exist for myself. Because like the pen's in my hand, there are going to be failures. It's not about if they're going to be failures. There will be. So just crack on. You're going to make them, some big, some small. But it's been so empowering to be like, hasn't got to be perfect. They're going to judge me. Do I care? Yes. Does it change what I'm doing? No. Of course, I'm a human being. I don't want someone saying what you're doing is shit. But it's going to happen anyway. So it's like, learn to have, not have a thick skin, but like, it's part of the process. And don't try and be this person that's liked by everyone, because you are you. And again, you attract the right people when you're being true to yourself. When you're being fake, putting on the mask, everyone's like, oh, you're sick. But deep down, you know you're not. And that's been, for me, super liberating. So you write your own story. People will judge you whether you like it or not, for good or bad.
Love those. They're very good. I think the... what's yours?
Live, laugh, love.
Live, love, laugh.
No, it's not.
John coming in with some serene comment.
Wisdom, brother.
Yeah, wait, Brad, that
I'd
is
say,
sick. That's some great advice. You should get over your...
That was some
wisdom.
wisdom.
What's that?
No, I would say my favourite bit of advice came years ago. Someone just went, look up and listen more. That's it.
Yeah. I like that.
With chest up, shoulders back. That's granddad.
I like that.
Yeah. Look up and listen more. If you listen more to people, then a conversation will yield so much more in every single conversation you have. You'll learn more. People will be more willing to open up and express themselves, and therefore you'll start. The scope of where it can go is endless. And if you look up, you know, like even just giving London as an example, you look up and there's like buildings with roofs that are like older than America.
Yeah.
Or like, well, older than industrialized America or whatever. So, you know, and also it's just an energy shift as well. You know, if you're looking down here at the time on your phone and stuff like that, you're actually restricting your airflow because you don't have a straight line through the esophagus and stuff. Like, it's literally scientifically better for you just to be present.
Can I piggyback something onto that as well?
Yeah.
When I was walking here, looking at my phone on maps, and I was like, cool, I'm on the right road now, turn maps off, and I looked up, just crossing the water, and I was thinking, if I was like 20-year-old me coming here looking up, it shows you what's possible because the breadth and the depth of people in one immediate area. I'm like, within a mile of me right now, there could be 10,000 people who are working in their offices. And it really, I think, would have given me then a view of abundance. Whereas, again, when you're looking down and you're in social media and you're not quite sure what exists, you have a narrow perception of reality. But being here and being like, this is one neighborhood in a city in one continent as part of the world, and look what's here.
Yeah.
So I think I totally agree with that. And it's just forces you to just take a breath and be like, wow.
Yeah.
And that's enough sometimes to give you that moment of clarity in your head for an idea. Boom.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a really good point about social media. You know, like you say, it makes you feel boxed in. It makes you feel, for something that's meant to make everyone feel more connected, it makes you feel far more.
The unsocial social networks, isn't it?
It should be called anti-social networks because they are, and you realise just, you know, how much more space there is in your world just by looking away from your phone. Like putting your phone away is such a fucking life hack, and it shouldn't be a life hack.
It's been an hour and a half now.
Yeah.
Do you see? This is why I personally wanted to do the podcast. It's because this is so important.
Yeah.
Like you're not looking at your phone, and I wasn't even tempted to.
I didn't
look
even
at the
think
phone,
once. I didn't know my phone
right?
is.
Because it's nice to catch up and hear your mate's perspective, eat mince pies.
Yeah. But also you actually listen.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking what might vibrate. It's like, no.
That was actually
And
my,
you now
my piece of advice.
Which was mince pies.
We now know that's the brother.
That's a victory.
But I think that's my piece of advice is around being present, is the ability to shut the fuck up. Because I've always compensated my feelings of insecurity around cool people, because I wasn't very cool Still clearly not. But I never felt like I was a cool person.
Fishing for compliments.
Yeah, if you can comment your,
If you can comment, just saying
let me know,
that
I'm
Ollie's
amazing.
cool. That Ollie is cool.
just
I'll
give
give him
him
more
what he
time.
needs.
Thank you guys.
Brother
And
cool.
then that feeling of like the cool kids at school, I never felt anything like that. And so I made up for it when I got into the adult world by sort of trying to, I don't know, just putting on maybe a person that I wasn't, hoping that was what these people wanted to see. And then someone said to me, I can't remember who, it was, listen, the best people are the people who are unapologetically themselves. And I realized it's so true. The people I aspire or get inspiration from are those who are, they don't give a fuck what you think if they don't know you. They are just themselves. They will do what they want to do. They'll listen. They are just cool people to be around, but they don't get that from external forces, if that makes sense. And as soon as I started to adopt that, and I would let out who I am, be weird and honest and things, and you notice you gravitate towards people who you want to be around, and they gravitate to you. And I kept using this phrase. I've met some of my best and closest friends in the past 2 years, and it's like, well, yeah, no shit. You've gravitated towards your people. You're finding your tribe because you are yourself.
But you're always changing as
Massively.
well, and like you'll always develop. Like just from today, you know, hearing different perspectives from you, and just hearing about your life. Like I knew none
well,
of this
interesting.
stuff. It's really inspiring to hear about how where you're at, and also the similarities between us. I'm like, it's quite uncanny that we've got this and this and this.
I've always felt very strong similarities between us three, big time. So to me, I was like, fuck,
So it's interesting.
very
It's
similar
interesting.
mindset.
Yeah, I think also that's like when I can see part of myself in someone else and they're doing things that I would like to do and I feel inspired. Again, it gives you some kind of punch and some confidence behind, like, I can see myself in them. They're achieving this thing.
Yeah.
Just breach common ground, and also like being happy to reach out to that person
Yeah, I
because you
see
can
some real
relate.
similarities
relate to
between me
them.
and Elon Musk.
Who's that? Who's that?
Yeah, who the fuck are you talking about?
guy who just launched his rockets?
Boys, that was great.
That
I
was
really,
awesome.
it was great being on, and
No, thank you for coming.
the Anderson brothers now to put on a little mince pie show.
Listen,
Hey.
it's just genetics, mate. It's just genetics.
I think probably. I mean, you can take these Waitrose ones home
any
to
closing
Rio if you
comments?
I don't eat meat, brother.
Yeah, fair.
One more.
Vegan.
Closing comments. If you're around on the 12th of January, it's a Sunday.
I'll be there.
Men's Day 2.0, 10 till 3. We've got a phenomenal day lined up. So hit these boys up
Yes.
Sold out last time.
or me for a ticket.
I was there. The link is. I'm going to have to edit all of this. It's here and here and there.
Point to my finger.
I'm there.
There.
I'm there. Cool. All right, legends. Let's fucking go.
Dude, nice. Thank you for that.
That was sick.